Good morning, everybody. Who's ready to get back to Comic Con season? Me too. Stick around. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to TED Talks. This is Ted Davies Artistry. And if you are a creative, you are in the right place. So please like and subscribe to this channel. We do a ton of stuff here to help the creatives build their business. Speaking of which, Rising Tide Broadcast Network, we're affiliated with proudly. They do the same thing. We're on their shows, 4 days a week, I think it is. Check out everything we're doing 7 days a week. It's got a ton of stuff on the station. Facebook, Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Check it out. We are a group of creatives that help creatives build their business. So if you are a creative and you got a creative endeavor, writing, an artist, let us know. Join what we're doing. We would love for you to be part of our group. Also, we are, before I get started with my whole rundown here, we're brought to you by From the Trenches of Hollywood today. It's actually a podcast that Craig Hall, producer out in LA, and I are doing. You guys check out everything that we're doing with From the Trenches of Hollywood on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook page. If you want to learn about the ins and outs of Hollywood, how to get your story to them, how to present this idea that you've got to them, join the podcast. We would love to find out, what you guys are doing and how we can help get your idea to the masses. So check out everything that we're doing there. We're also on Instagram under Hollywood Trenches. And I believe that we're on Anchor and Spotify under From the Trenches of Hollywood for audio. So check out everything there as well. And of course on this station. So we're there. Go to the playlist and you can check out all different kinds of stuff on From the Trenches of Hollywood's. Excuse me, on the Trenches of Hollywood playlist. Okay, so for those who don't know me, my name's Ted Davies. I'm an artist, author, and a collector. And what we do here on TED Talks is it's pretty much for the creative. We interview people, we talk about their products, what they're bringing out this year, how they got started in this whole collective of comics and books and everything, or if they're artists as well. Today, what we're going to do is I want to talk to you a little bit about Comic Con, etiquette, my setup of what I look for when I'm at a Comic Con, when I'm setting up to sell my books and my artwork and such. But we'll get into that in a minute. We have a little segment that we have called Ted's Library, and I want to showcase a artist that I had on the show last year. I've actually known Ken for quite a while. And he's a staple down at Cashman's Comics down in Bay City. Ken, check out what Ken Lanier is doing. He is an awesome creator. If anybody has anything to do with indie comics in his blood, it's him. Pardon the pun. Angel's Blood is one of the Kickstarters that he did. This is actually a homage cover to the Hulk. If you remember, all you guys that are Hulk fans, he did this for his campaign. Angel's Blood is the comic. So check out everything that Ken's doing on Ken's Comics, and he is awesome. He's really heartfelt. He's a good person. He works hard for his family, and he works hard for the industry, the indie comic industry. He's so supportive, and I'm glad that if I did inspire him to get on StreamYard and everything else, like he says I did, which I think is crazy. I'm glad that I took the initiative that got him rolling on that, because I think he's done some great things for indie comics. So Ken, way to go. Check out everything he's doing on Ken's Comics. I want to say good morning to everybody else. Let me get to the comments here. Good morning, guys. Let's see who we got. We got Glenn. What's up? Carl. Lewis. Hello. Donna. I'll read the comments in a couple minutes, guys. So Comic Cons. Where do I start? For a lot of us that used to go to Comic Cons quite a bit. I mean, at least 8 to 12 a year. I haven't been to a Comic Con in 2 years. Michigan locked down right after the last Comic Con I was at. And with everything going on, I made the judgment call, and I'm glad I did. Christine and I made the judgment call. I'm like, it's not worth it. I can do more here in front of the camera, helping other people, as well as building my brand and my business, than me setting up me, putting myself at risk, if you want to call it that. This is before anything, vaccinations or anything like that. Um, but I'm ready. I'm ready to get back into it. I'm ready to start really getting back into the event center, and I want to start meeting public again, and I'm ready. And that's what this show's about today. What I'm doing, what's the setup, what are we trying to accomplish, and looking at it from a standpoint of, all right, here's the initial investment. Are you making that money back? I mean, a lot of us get so excited, oh yeah, I'm going to be an artist. I'm going to be at a table, and I've got everything, and I got accepted to the thing. Okay, great. But let's think about it from a business standpoint. What are you making? I mean, is this a hobby or is it a business? Some people don't like that side of me because I'm very direct when it comes to that, but that's the reality of the show. So I hope that you guys enjoy that part of it, because I think you're going to learn a little bit, and at least on how I do business. Um, and hopefully, if there's anything you guys can add to that, please do. Please do. Okay. So let's see what we got here. I just want to say hello again to everybody. Molly Daniels, good morning. How are you doing as well? Yeah, that is a good idea. I'm going to grab a cup of coffee here before we get started. First off, let me do one thing, because I did forget one thing. Okay, so status on Grimm 101 Book 2. I am currently waiting on books. The printers, as you guys know, we've got we've got a paper shortage, and things that take normally 2 or 3 days a week are taking now up to 3 weeks. So I'm at their mercy. I know that all of you guys have been patient. You were awesome, and I appreciate it. But that's part of the game right now. So we're just waiting. I've got everything else ready to go, boxes and bubble wrap and everything else ready to go for delivery. So as soon as they come in, and I've got things signed, and I've got the prints here, and everything's all ready to go, and everything that's been ordered is ready, I'm going to send all the books out in that. But having said that, the figures, let me uncap this for a second. The figures that I'm doing right now, I'm working on currently. We sold a lot of figures. So thank you guys for investing in this and believing in this beautiful figure that Damien made for us, and that I'm antiquing and making into Jim now, the Grimm. The way I'm going to package this, I want to talk to you about this first. I'm going to make sure that these are all going to be shipped separately from the books and that. So I want to make sure you guys know that. The books, these are all going to be sent separately anyway. So these particular figures, though, the ones that purchased, are going to be, I'm going to actually wrap this in bubble wrap here. And then very loosely, it's not going to be taped. And then I'm going to set this in place. Okay. And then I'm going to end up taping this just with regular Scotch tape, just to hold it in place. Then I'm going to wrap the whole thing in bubble wrap, top and bottom as well. And I'm actually going to sign this. I was going to end up putting a certificate together. I'm actually going to sign the base with the number and the sequence number of how many were produced. So then that way you've got it. There's no losing an extra piece of paper. But I'm going to be putting them in boxes like this, and it fits perfectly with the with everything. So it'll be spot on. So these will be sent out, though, once I get them all done. I would think probably within the next week or so. I was trying to shoot for February 28th ish, and it's just the way it's working out, shipping with boxes and getting things sent in from other places, and they haven't gotten here yet because of weather and all that stuff. So I'll get them out. Like I said, give me by the end of next week, and I should have everything sent out. And I'll make sure that I've got everything ready to go on that. Okay, enough about Grimm. So hopefully that helps everybody. Hopefully everybody's excited about that, because I'm really looking forward to that. And the books, like I said, that's just part of the game right now. I'll have them out. I'll get them out to you, and I'll let you know when they get here. And I'll do a small video for everybody so they can see the books before they are sent out and all that stuff. Carl says, we were lucky to make back our table fee at the last book show we did, but we saw the hotel and the food. as a vacation. I wonder how many people actually make money at a con. Good point. Well, we're going to talk about a little bit about that. Molly Daniels, real quick, says, I think the only time I've made money at a con is when I don't have to pay for a hotel room and I don't eat and buy anything. Given the fact I like food, I'm upping my prices this year. Okay, understandable. And you guys, like I said, it's fine to set it up like that. If you want it to be a hobby, that's great. Nothing wrong with that. Um, this is what I do. This is what I do full time, and this is what it's about. We're about making. I really think that they should change Comic Con convention to. Uh, they should change the names. I think they should be Comic Con Connection. I really think that connecting is the biggest thing about Comic Cons. It's interacting. It is networking. So when you look at it from a balance standpoint, spreadsheet, black and red and all that, you really probably aren't gonna. I see people. Oh yeah, we sold out. We sold out. We sold. That's great. But what was your margins? Did you make any money on that? Did you, are you making 30 points? Are you making 30% on your investment? What are you doing? And they're very numb about that. They don't talk about it. It's their business. Okay, that's great. But the reality is that I want to be transparent on that part of Comic Cons, because I think that it's important that you look at it. It is an investment of time. It's an investment of money. One of the things that I really like about what Christine and I do in business with her market, what we do during the summer. So we've got an outdoor market here. It's right on the lake. It's gorgeous. It's fantastic. The good morning, Ryan. In the mornings, you got to get up early. It's a farmer's market. So when Christine sells Wicked Weed, she sells her dry goods and teas and um, all the tea blends and grub rub and everything. But we've got it set up so that we can set up and knock down within a 20-minute time period. So 20 minutes to set up, that's tent and everything, and 20 minutes to knock down roughly. And that's the way to do it. You get it down to a science, and it's taken us a while to do that. It's taken us years to get to that point. The same thing goes with Comic Cons. The first thing is that when you're talking to the organizers, make sure that you've got tables there. Make sure that the chairs are there so that you're ready to go. When you get into these spaces, sometimes they don't even have the tables set up, or you got to bring your own table. Make sure you know that. Make sure that it's in the agreement when you get approved. Some of the times they aren't. Is there electric? Is there Wi-Fi there? Do you have plugs? Does it cost you extra for all that? So you have to know, you got to be prepared for this. Um, I end up taking a small cooler with me, like a lunchbox cooler, just so I've got, keep the blood sugars right and everything else, all that stuff, and waters and just everything there. So then that way I'm not leaving the table. First off, for my next thing, money. If you've got like the rest of us have a fishing box with money to exchange, or, don't forget your square with your phone. All these things are going to be something that where you have to run out to your car. If nobody else is there with you, you're leaving your table alone, and that's not good. So, I mean, make sure that your priorities are set so that you've got everything ready to go. There might come a point in time, and that's what I've said to before. I find out who the manager is of the whole thing or whatever. Do they have an assistant? They can watch my table while I use the restroom or whatever. I usually have Christine with me, and that helps a lot. But in some of these shows, just logistics, we can't do it. She's got stuff going on with her business, and then I've got on the same weekend, and you just can't do it. So make sure that first off that your table and chairs are available. The other thing is too, presentation's key. I see so many people that have the beautiful books and everything else, and they don't do anything with the tables. The tables are all beat up and they're bashed, and they've got the proverbial wood grain tops. The corners are busted off, so the plywood or the MDF is sticking out. It's all raw and it's just gross. And a lot of places don't care. They just like, this is what you got. This is what we have to offer, and this is what you paid for. Get a tablecloth. Get something that's going to work, that can cover up to give you some presentation. One of the things that we do, it's in a bag here, but what this one is, and we use these with Chris's business too. She's got everything is like a day glow green color. These are like a stretchy lycra material, and we put them down on the legs of the table, and it stretches out, and it makes a really, and it's a flat top, and then it brings down the like to a wing, and then it goes like this between. It's a really cool look, and it's different than everybody else's usually. So when people see it, it's immediate interest. It's like, oh, that's cool. It kind of looks like a bat wing for me because the black is pretty cool. But again, they don't always work on. These are set for 6-foot tables. These are what we have. They might not work on the 8-foot table. So I have a backup. I have a backup of like a green tablecloth or something. I take something else with me, whether it's orange something, so that you got something to cover the tables just in case if they aren't very presentable. Molly said, let's see. Well, let me go back to Carl real quick. The most popular book worldwide is the one that I give away for free online. And that's that. I know how that works too. Molly Daniels, I usually take my time tearing down. That way I'm not fighting the space to load up. That's a good point too. I know that loading certain things, because you have to have a cart in some cases because the places are so huge. And I get that too. Let's see what else he said there. Molly, I'm sorry. Bear with me, guys. That was a good thing about the pandemic. I was only investing in a new table. Yeah, that me too. And I took that time, and that's a good point, Molly, is we grew so much over the last 2 years. Hey, Damien, we grew so much that, um, last year was one of the biggest years I had in Ted Davies Artistry, and we didn't really leave the house except to go to California for the movie thing. But that was one thing. But the things that I learned, it was huge. It was a very much a growing time to learn and to really um, evaluate what we're going to be using and what we're going to come out with the new books and with the new stories and all the product, and learning how valuable that time was to learn and really evaluate not just what's important, because COVID did enough of that, but where we're going. What are our projections? What do we want to do? What do we want to manifest in the next years to come in business? Christine and I both did that with her business as well as mine. Make sure that you've got your product. Make sure that I'm an artist, so I bring a couple different things. I bring my sketchbook. I've been working on some I've been getting a lot of Grogu. A lot of people want Grogu right now. So I got my sketchbook, always got a sketchbook or two. I've got my watercolor paper, smaller ones, and I'll explain that in a minute. I have all my pens, usually my ink pens, not I bring, you guys have seen me use my watercolor markers. I bring with me. And I do that kind of, I don't do full commissions when I'm at a Comic-Con. I'm going to talk to you about that too, because that's really important. But I also, one of the things about what I do is I bring my portfolio, a couple of them. And what's nice about the portfolios that I do, it shows the original art of the books that I sell. And that's a big part of this, because in digital work, all due respect to Brian Rodman and Damien, everybody else that does digital, full digital, these things I have to sell if people want the interior at a premium. So my interior panels, my interior pages of the book are for sale. The covers, they're already been sold out. The cover, actual original covers on some of these have already sold. But it's all traditional art, and it's one of a kind. Some collectors like that. It depends on what shows you're at. But in traditional art in portfolios, I don't like having a bunch of people, touching the work and everything else. Everything's sealed up in here, but you get to the point where presentation's everything. So you've got the table set up, you've got the tablecloth on it. At least that. You got the proper signage. That's the other thing. Make sure that everything's got their proper pricing on it. One of the things I do too with this is I end up getting these things. They're basically plate stands, like your grandmother used to have or your mom used to have, where you put the plate in here. What's nice about these, they're a couple bucks maybe, and you can put, if I was selling Ken's books here, ta-da! I mean, and it sits on the table, presentation done. It's easy to fold up. They go into the storage tote real quick, and we're ready to get out of there. We can set up fast, and that's brilliant. I really like those. Very inexpensive. I think I bought 10 of them on Amazon. Oh god, no, I bought 24 of them for $12. I mean, it's a steal. Absolute steal. um, let's see. Let me see. Sorry, Lewis. It's been a while since I've earned more than maybe $50 to $200 profit for a show. I tend to make more money at store appearances or live events, and that's true. And I get that. And you got to balance that out. You know that I've been talking about that too. In business, you have to make sure that you're ready to pivot and that you've got multiple streams of income. I talked about merchandise, which the next thing is after artwork and original art, make sure you got prints. I've got a ton of prints, but what I do is like things like this. This one was one of the newer ones I just got done doing of Cad Bane. That one's for sale too. So I'm just letting you guys know for $250 for the 11x17 full color. But what's nice about this is I also have prints made at a fraction of the price of the original. Again, you're setting, not everybody's got that kind of money to invest in things. It's not a big deal for some people it is. But if you do say an 8x10 print for $5 or $10, that's achievable. That's an achievable goal, and it's an instant gratification. They get to get the product. It's in a bag, of course. I always sell everything that it's all bagged up so that you guys have. It's always in great shape. But again, it gives them an opportunity, and it's not insulting. It's not, oh my God, this guy's way overpriced. I'm never going to be able to afford his stuff, blah, 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 or whatever. You know, they actually have an out to where they can still enjoy and be part of that experience of that work. I think that's a super, super important. And I think that's really respective to your audience. Okay. Make sure that you got your books, obviously, or if you sell books or your artwork or your prints. If you run out of books, guess what? Say, for instance, I run out of number one, number two, whatever. You know what I usually do? If they're going to end up buying one of the books and they're not going to buy it because I don't have the second book or the third book, send them the PDF. Send it to them right then and there. I have no problem doing that. If they're going to end up buying a book and they want to see how the story ends, absolutely. No problem. I'm not saying I'm not going to send them all the whole series in PDF. But if they want to buy one and they're missing one, whatever, we can work out the logistics later if they want to buy the book, so they have for the collection signed or whatever. But give them the PDF. Don't be too stingy. Try to make that work. Digitize your stuff. Get it to the point where you can send a PDF. And I think that as you're building a client base and that you care about your readership and I just think it's the way to do it. For as far as books, artwork, that's another story. I don't do that. I might do a raffle or something of that sort. Hey, I'll send you, if you spin this wheel, give me your email, build my email list, right? And then if you win, then I'll send you a PDF, a backdrop for your laptop or something of some of my artwork. So the biggest thing with the books, if you run out, produce a PDF for people. Do something that so that they have some incentive just to maybe continue the story, or start a story with you. And that's a big part of it. Glenn, on top of that, we were given 2 tables for the price of one. Ooh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back to this. Back in 2007, the first convention I attended with Crikey, I sold out 200 copies with the magazine. On top of that, I signed. See, that's balling. You're doing really, really good, Glenn. Really, really well. And you're well respected in the industry, bro. On top of that, we were given 2 tables for the price of. That's fantastic. That's a home run right there. Absolute home run. If you guys could like and share this out too, we got a pretty full house, and I appreciate you guys doing that for me. Big thing, don't forget your money. I've counted probably 3 or 4 times. We're close enough to where we're only like 4 miles away to the market here, but we've forgotten money in the mornings. We've forgotten the toolbox or whatever it was that we used for money exchanges. Or Chris forgot the square, to the iPhone. And it happens, whatever. Make sure you got it because, you're going to some of these shows. They're hour and a half, 2 hours, 7 hours away. I mean, you're screwed if you don't have it, right? There's ways around it, but still try not to forget that. And in today's world, sanitizer is paramount. And a lot of the Comic Cons now are mandatory that you have it. I know the one Shout out to Midland Mall Comic Con coming up next week. Or excuse me, March 5th and 6th, a week from next Saturday and Sunday. March 5th and 6th at Midland Mall Comic Con in Detroit, or in Michigan. Yeah, we're going to have a huge showing there. There's a ton of people are going to be there. Like I said, it's the first show that I'm doing in 2 years. It was the last show I did 2 years ago as well, right before we got on lockdown. They completely shut down the whole state a week after we had that show. That's how good the show was. So anyway, it was an awesome show. It was I enjoyed that show so much. Paul King, I got props for you, man. He's done just a tremendous amount of work trying to keep this thing afloat, and I'm glad it worked out. But sanitizer on the table was part of the deal. Hey, we're going to give you a couple tables in that. Here's the cost or whatever. Bring your own chairs. Very important. Okay, bring my own chairs. By the way, you need to mask up and you have to have sanitizer, or you can't play. And I get that. Totally understand that. He's looking at the safety of everybody else, and I respect that. Whatever your views are, that's fine. But it's a tool to play the game. That's the way I look at it. So, and it is a little bit tricky. I understand, to talk with the mask and everything else, but whatever. It's 2 days, which also brings up something else I want to talk about. I usually go to events that are at least more than 1 day, because there's the logistics of it all, the economics of it all. The first day is usually catch up, trying to sell here and there books. I always look at a convention as brand new customers. I'm trying to build my client base, my branding. The second day is the people that come back, or that have commissions or anything else that they purchase for the next night or for the next day. A lot of the times Sundays are usually my art day. I draw a ton on Sundays, depending on if it's 2 days. Usually if it's a 3 or 4 day one, I'm drawing all the time. But really, when you look at it, I try to go for 2 days. 1 days are okay. I don't know. I think it's too much. You're only there for maybe 8 hours, right? And with a 2 day stint, you probably have maybe 16 hours, maybe. I don't even know if you have that. So, and that's hard when you break it all down and you're trying to figure out the numbers per hour of where you need to be. I don't know. It's a real, I try to have a buffer day, because there might be some, especially this time of year. Hey, good morning, Jody. How you doing? This time of year, it's inclement weather too. You might have a day where nobody's there because of the weather. So you've got to really look at the big scheme of things, when it all boils down to it. But I usually try to get at least a 2 day. If you're ever looking for me to go to a Comic-Con or anything else, I usually look for a 2 day. At least, because it's economically, it doesn't make much sense just to drive it unless it's in, your local, it's in the backyard or whatever. But yeah. Let me see what I got here. Damien, don't be afraid to put on a show, either with a dynamic setup or cool table gimmick, or just talking to people in the crowd. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not saying to be a class clown. That's somebody's deal. One of the things I've noticed, and we'll talk about this in etiquette here. We're getting into etiquette just real quick. But let me finish up products first, though, too. I'm trying to balance all this out. Sorry, guys. Damien says, I take a carnival barker mentality when I'm at a con. I put on some background music. I stand up and talk to the people in the crowd. It's fun, engaging, and can make you. Okay, I understand that. I don't do that. So, and I know that we're going to be at a Comic-Con together here soon, Lexington, coming up. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. I don't put any music on. I'm not, because I think it's sometimes distracting the people next to us, and it drowns out other people. So it really just depends. I mean, that could be taken. And a lot of the Comic-Cons, they won't let you do that. At least up here, they don't. I don't like, one of the things I hate are commercials that yell at me to buy something like a mattress or, or a boat. You got to come down. I hate that. I cannot stand that. That is probably the most, if you want to not sell me something, do that. Absolutely do that. I think it's important that people can shop and look at things, inform them, but don't inundate them. Big thing that you need to start doing, if you haven't done it yet, with everything else out there on the tables, make sure that you're putting up some type of QR code with your information so that people can find you on the net. I can't stress it enough. It will save your voice. It will save interruptions. It will save, it might end up making some sales for you. Some of these people, how do we get a hold of you? How do you, you've got that up there, the QR code, just take a picture of it and get to the, I mean, of course you can go through the whole, hey, you can reach me at YouTube, Ted Davies Artistry. You can do, and while you're drawing or while you're talking to another client or whatever, it could be something that's very distracting. And I just assume get the QR codes out there for Facebook, Instagram, whatever, get them on the table and then let people, for the tech savvy ones, they'll know. And hopefully you'll get some, and I'm not saying don't interact with people. That's the other thing. If you're looking down at your drawing the whole time and you have no eye contact or anything else, well, you're dooming yourself as it is. You got to make sure you're interacting. That's one of the reasons why I have Christine with me a lot, because she's the money person anyway. She's constantly selling the books and everything else while I'm working on the commission at the moment. I usually don't do large commissions either at shows. I'll do one thing I did come up with that I think really, really works. And I know it works because I sell out of them every show. Index cards, clear index cards, no lines on them at all. These sketches go for $5. I do about 10 of them an hour for whatever anybody wants. This way, whatever. Grogu, you name it. Any character, my characters, all kinds of stuff that I've drawn on there for, and $5, dude. People that have seen my other work and they know how expensive, how much of an investment it is for my larger works and everything else. Again, $5, people have $5 and they just churn them. I mean, I'm churning them out. And their original art. I've had people buy a series of 4 for them, let's say. And it's funny that the way they think, they won't buy $20 sketch, but they'll buy a $4 or $5 sketches, which is fine. That's okay. But I've had them frame them up. It's really, really cool. But yeah, these index cards, this idea really, really has worked out well. But I do a good, better, best. So I start out with a $5. Then I've got a $10 sketch, which is a little bit bigger, which is about roughly this size, a little bit bigger, about 5x7. And then I go up to an 8x10, which is $20. But it gives them a good, better, best scenario. Then if they want a more detailed commission in that, I don't do them at the cons. I'll end up taking half down. I'll do them at my leisure at home. When it's complete, they pay me the rest of it, and then I send it on to them. And that's the way I've always worked. But these ones, like I said, they're I've been very fortunate because they stand in line for these, which is great. And I recommend anybody that's a little free tip from artist to artist. If you guys haven't done that yet, I think it's a tremendous tool. And you charge whatever you want on them. But all right, Damien, hold on one second. Bear with me, guys. Try the flow code. Yeah, that was. We'll talk about that in a second, Damien. Here. Let's see it with Jody. If you draw, it shows. That is what works for me when people come up and start looking at what I'm drawing. Yeah, that's a great segue. It is. I've had people, man, you draw these, that kind of stuff, and you get that, and it's an opener, and that's a big part of this. I'm looking not just for my old client base, which are loyal and I do anything for them, but newer ones. I've got a goal of, X amount. I try to reach at least 100 people at each Comic-Con, new, that haven't followed me, that don't know anything about me, or they haven't subscribed. That's my goal every time I go to Comic-Cons. 100 people, whether it's an industry person, whether it's a new client, whether it's a parent with the kids that are just, taking it all in and don't know anything about comics, but the kids know about the comics, or whatever, vice versa. The parents know about comics, and I'm all about meeting, and that's one thing I've missed, the interaction with that. But I digress. Okay, so Damien, yeah, he did this as well. So try flow code. It's free, and you can direct code to a site and an image. So yeah, so Damien, full disclosure, did that for the book Grimm. He ended up instead of writing just my website, we also did a flow code. Basically, it's a circular QR code with my logo in the middle of it for my Facebook, which worked out brilliantly. So yeah, check out Flow Code. They do some really. I was really shocked. I thought it was really really cool, and it had my my fedora skull cap logo up there in the corner, as you can see it there. Okay, let me get back to what I was talking about. Etiquette. Okay, so when it's all said and done, you got all the products, you got your table set up, everything's clean, you look presentable. Big, big, big part of it. I'm not saying you got to do the three-piece suit thing, but you need to look presentable. Look like you've got it together. I'll give you a minute. You can figure out what that means. Presentation's key. It's like in anything, you want to make sure that you're know your audience. I'm not saying that you have to dress in a three-piece suit and have a Rolex on. I'm not saying that. Unless that's your audience. I don't know. But make sure that you're looking at it from a standpoint of you've got 30 seconds. 30 seconds to intrigue somebody to look at all the stuff that you've got and here's the package. Here's the branding. Who are you? I know they would run screaming from me, I know. But um when you have that all set up, now comes the etiquette. Everybody who walks past my table that actually makes eye contact with me, I always say hello. Always. Even if I'm drawing or Christine will say hello, whoever's at the booth with me. Always engage. We always engage all the time. If they're looking at something there, we don't force feed them. Say, cool. Hey, by the way, that book is being optioned right now in LA. There's going to be signage for that. Everybody knows Retrieve is being optioned, but in the world stage, it's becoming aware, but not everybody knows that. If you're walking by, that comic book, you wouldn't think so. So, oh yeah, really cool. So there's things like that to where you're engaging constantly with the people walking by. And I'm not saying dive bomb them. I don't like doing that. That's not my style. If that's your style, that's cool. Like Damien says, he's more of a carnival barker. I know people that go out in front of I know some Comic Cons, they won't let you go in front of the table because it blocks off other people's um, merchandising or whatever, which I agree. And the etiquette this is where I'm going with this. Etiquette, I think etiquette is probably the most important thing out of everything. You could have a table full of stick figure drawings. If you don't have the proper etiquette and the proper interaction with your client base, you're dead in the water. You might as well not have set up. You might as well kept the car not running, just stay at home. What I mean by etiquette, I'm straightforward with people. I'm not insulting. I'm assertive. And the reason why I say this is because I get a ton of not struggling artists, but inspired artists that want to pitch me their ideas or pitch me their portfolios that they bring to me, which I'm flattered. But I don't have time for talent search. That's not what I do. I'm not in that. That's not me. I'm and it's not I'm not looking for new talent. I'm trying to sell my talent. So that's the rub. And it's hard because I don't want to crush that artist. So I've gotten pretty good at pivoting and how to handle that. Legally, first off, I won't accept any pitches anyway because I don't want the liability of it. I want my ideas to be my ideas. I don't want it to be somebody else that whispered something in my ear, and then 6 months from now, hey, that's a great idea. I didn't remember talking to them, and then I'm using that. That's not fair to them. And so that immediately I said, stop. Legally, I can't do that. Yeah, sorry. Is your, and I basically, I kind of move them on. Portfolios, I don't look at anymore. There's been too many people that have, honest to God, I've had people sit down, not invited, and bring their portfolios to me while I'm in the midst of selling something or whatever. I mean, it's just been unbelievable over the years. I've had people that don't know boundaries because I didn't establish the boundary. And I don't mean with I don't mean with, women or anything else coming up to the table, that kind of stuff. I don't mean that. I mean like people that were legitimately looking for a publisher or looking for something, and that's all they were thinking about. They weren't going to buy anything. They brought their portfolio. They told me their life story. They didn't stop and they didn't realize I'm not interested. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but you guys know what I'm saying. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to discourage anybody, but I'm there for a purpose. I'm not running for office. I'm there to make money and I'm there to produce my brand for the public. So you've got to be really careful with that type of etiquette. Don't accept pitches. I mean, you're opening yourself into, unless that's your business, unless you're a publisher. I don't know. I don't look at portfolios anymore. I think that I just don't have the time for that, and I'm not a critiquer of portfolios. I mean, I can give them a tidbit of information. Hey, go get self-published. Go to my YouTube channel, look through all the videos that I've offered that for free. You can go and look at all these videos that I've done that has all the information that you'd ever want, and look on YouTube. There's a lot more people that are more educated than me on this. They can help you. You know, I'm flattered. I am, but I have to put my foot down with a lot of it. Um, Molly Daniels says, "Yep, some things happens to write. Same thing happens to writers. I've gotten this idea from the bestseller. Can you? Yeah, right. Um, what was I didn't see that. Let me go back to. Let's see. So Jody doesn't think I'm assertive, huh? Well, yeah. I can be downright. They call it corporate Ted. Not very. It's not very politically correct. I'm very, and I don't mean to be that way. I'm very much a mindset of art of war. I think that you need to nip it in the bud right away. I don't, and some people, and it's not derogatory. I'm not tearing anybody down. This is the matter of fact. This is the way it is. This is what I do not do that, and that's what I'll say, and that's it. Um, let's see. I've got one of the. Let me see what Lewis said here. Yeah, and that's a good point too. Okay, so and yeah, this is not a venue. It's not a venue for this type of discussion or this discourse. You have you've got people that do that. They have offices. This is not an office when it comes to that. This is a convention. This is an interaction, but it's not a you're not trying to I'm not trying to find the next best thing. I think I am the next best thing. Isn't that funny? But I'm just saying, you know what I mean? It's you gotta, and I don't want to be the guy that the little kid that's trying to make it work. I don't want to crush his dreams. Um, so there's a little bit of finesse that you have to do there. And you know what? I try to be kind. I know I'm not always, but I try. And it's not an easy thing. When you're at a Comic Con like that, if you've ever had that experience, you know what I'm talking about. And you're flattered, but you don't. It's not the environment for that. So Jody says that's happened when you're setting up with a premiere or small press booth. I go through that with every show. However, you will need to know how to excuse yourself politely when people overstep. Yeah, I agree, and it's hard. But doing it over and over again, you get to the point where it's like, okay. And I always and I say legally because it's the truth. I don't want to know your idea. That's your idea. You need to publish it, get it out in get the copyright, get your information on the page and make sure it's your idea, your IP, not mine. I don't want to know. I'm not looking to publish it. I self-publish myself, you know. What's going on, Eric? Conference calls are conference calls. I got it. Totally understand that. And I know Eric goes to enough shows too that he's probably run into this where people bring up portfolios and what do you think about this? You know, can you help me publish this or whatever. I don't know if they've done that to you, but yeah, like I said, you can be assertive and not insulting. My biggest concern is that I don't want to frustrate a young person or an old person for that matter, older person that you can tell. You can tell the ones that are like not listening to you at all. They're just trying to tell you their story, and that's it. They're not listening to anybody else around them or the people that you're interacting with, talking to, or getting ready to sell something to. Some of them are just blatantly rude. Um, let me, Carl, I thought about making a sign. We will write your book for you for $1,000. Outprice ourselves, and then he might move. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's, I had one person that just didn't stop. They told me everything about their lives, their mother, and of course, Christine wasn't there. She was at lunch or doing something. She went shopping. I think so we're at the mall. And I was like, I couldn't get it worded edgewise. And I ended up doing I did the video the next day or the next Tuesday on TED Talks. And I pointed out exactly how upset I was that this person wasted my time, didn't give. And that was one thing. At least ask me, do you have a moment? Do you have a second? Whatever. I'm not asking you to say Mr. Davies or anything like that, not, kiss my ring or anything like that. I'm just being respectful of my time. That's a real part of out of all of this. You've got to be respectful of people's time. Um, and that's, like I said, it's not the venue. Okay. Glenn said, let me see what I've got here. Take more stock with you than you think you need. That's a very good point. Yeah, he would have sold more if he had more in the car. And I get that. If you sell out there, you sell out. I mean, right now, literally right now, the printers, I'm at their mercy. So some of the stuff I've got my back catalogs of things that I've got, thank God, of stuff that I can take with me. But I have to reorder. I've already reordered stuff I'm waiting on. Won't be ready till I go to Lexington. Speaking of which, let's talk about that real quick. Since you guys are listening still, March 24th through the 27th, I just booked some time down at Lexington Comic Con in Lexington, Kentucky, and we're going to be. I think we're going to be affiliated with a few of the Dashley Dingoes down there, so I'm really looking forward to meeting Damien and meeting Brian and Chad, everybody, and Jeremy, and I can't wait for that. It's going to be a blast. So yeah, if you're in Lexington, Kentucky during that weekend, March 24th through, actually it's 4 days. I think it's a 4-day con, which is fantastic. The Comic Con I'm looking forward to. Ron Perlman's going to be there. There's going to be a ton of different actors and actresses, and I'm looking really, really forward to being down there and being part of the whole thing. So you can pick up my books, my prints, my artwork, everything that's going to be down there. I will be down there and enjoying it. So get down to Lexington Comic Con. Okay. So we went over etiquette. We went over what you need for your tables. Don't forget the money, obviously. Bring as much, if you're an artist, bring as much artwork as you can with you, I guess. I mean, there's things that I do that are separate from the artwork as well. I do cigar box covers, that kind of stuff. I did a whole show on this one. I make a ton of money on these things. These cost very little to produce, but when it's all said and done, the amount of return, like I said, you got to have diversity in what you're making. Books are fine, art's fine. I have some collective stuff that I bring with me, like some all my old memorabilia, Star Wars, things of that sort that I want to sell. I still have it there. It's not like it's a main thing of my table or anything, but I use a lot of different, it's guerrilla marketing, because there might be something that, oh man, you've got an original set of 1977 Star Wars cards, dude. That's awesome. I remember when, and then they start this conversation, which again, I'm not, I want to listen to you, but I'm working on other things. But then they find out how you are about things. Oh man, these look great. I'm going to pick up one of your comic books, or I'm going to pick up a book. You seem pretty cool. I'm going to follow you on, I'm going to, whatever. Maybe they buy some of my memorabilia stuff that I've got. I don't know. There's all kinds of things that you can do. You'll learn it as you go. And that's one thing that we did lose, I think, 2 years of experience on a convention sales floor is hard to make up, but I'm looking forward to it. Molly says I'll be in Lexington in October. Might have to make the trip to, yeah, no doubt. That's and I know in October I was asked to go down to HalloCon as a guest, so I'll be down In October, Halloween weekend, we'll be at HoloCon. So Christine and even Calypso's going for that one. So that should be an awesome time. We're really looking forward to that one as well. Ryan, Lexington was one of my first shows. It was a great convention with incredible guests. Cool, man. Awesome. Are you going to go back this year? I had Kylo Ren on my table as a marketing device. I had a lot of people. That's awesome. That's a really good idea. I mean, and it really just depends on, I don't want to be fake. And I don't say that to you, Molly, but I don't want to be fake with, I'm not a, there's plenty of people that are going to be at the Comic Cons that sell memorabilia, pop culture stuff. These are from my private collection that, you know what, I'm not needing anymore. The kids don't want it if I don't want to leave it in the will. And I'm like, you know what, why not make a few dollars? Maybe somebody's looking for this type of stuff to finish their collection. My library's full of books like that. Charles Dickens books and Mark Twain books and everything else that don't fit into a Comic-Con necessarily. But it's a connection point, and that's what I look at. I don't want them to tell me their pitches and everything else out or that, but if they're collecting something, I don't mind lending an ear to that type of stuff. That's kind of fun. Let's see. Eric says, I have some Oz props I take. I don't always put them out. Depends on the vibe. I agree with that. And there's certain things that, I've had comic books, collector comic books, major comics that I just didn't put out. I said, you know what? I said to Chris, I'm like, let's just wait. And if I don't feel right about it, I won't put them out for sale. And I mean, like, Silver Surfer #1, that kind of stuff. It really just depends on you guys. I don't want you. The one thing I don't like about Comic Cons, and I think that you guys will understand what I mean by this. I don't like it when Comic Cons turn into craft shows or vice versa. There's a definite line between them. And I think that it's hard enough to set up for a craft show in a craft show environment. It's hard enough to set up for a Comic-Con in a Comic-Con environment. And when you allow that kind of cross, I don't know, sometimes it just doesn't work. It ends up, it becomes frustrating for both parties, both sets of genres, if you want to call it that. But like I said, if you've got the right promoter, you've got the people that really care about the general public that are there. It's not just a big money grab, and they really care about the people, the artists, and that. I look for that too. I look for show, and if it's a one-day show, I better know the promoter. I better know, and they better care about us as creators, and they do everything to help us out to make sure that they're doing everything to make it productive for us. That's a huge part of this. And that's really what I'm saying about Comic Cons. And like I said, I haven't been to one in 2 years. Doesn't mean I haven't been planning. In my head, I'm always planning stuff out. How we're going to do this? Can we make it better? And I'll make notes. I always make notes mentally of what's going on. I'll make notes at Midland Comic Con coming up. I'll make notes at Lexington. What am I learning? Is there something new that I took from this? Hey, who taught me that? That's great. That's a good idea. Is it a gimmick to maybe start something? Yeah. Is the fedora? Yeah. It's my shtick. You know what I mean? Oh, well, he's cool or he's not cool. He's a geek. And that's fine. That's me. But at least gets this ball rolling like Brian does with the Fez. I mean, it's ongoing. So really find what your audience is first off. Really find who they are, their core. Maybe you're still finding them. I'm finding new ones all the time. I'm shocked. It's actually some of the people that read my stuff and appreciate it. I'm really shocked. I didn't realize that they would really like it. And that's really inspiring to me. And then I've got other ones that, you'll get the sly comment of, oh, this is, whatever. Move on. Next. Okay, Glenn, question. When is the first Ted Davies convention? I think you're on it right now. You buy a ticket? Okay, I'll send you the bill. I'll invoice you. Jody says, I agree, Ted. Was one of the problems I stated about the Wakanda. I didn't even know they had one. That's cool. It came off as a black X. I see. And then, I mean, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that necessarily in the right context. If people want to have an overview show of, say, Black businesses or whatever. I mean, whatever it is. I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that there's, if it's marketed in a bad way to be aggressive, then that's bad. You know, I know that there's a very thin line that we all walk because we want to be inclusive to people, and that's good, and I want that. And I think that sometimes with a lot of it in today's world, especially, it gets overblown. It gets way overblown. But rest assured, if there is a Ted Davies convention, it's going to be for everybody, all walks of life, all creeds, all colors. Damien says, "Okay, yeah, I won't steal your idea. Okay, I got you." All right. Better question, Glenn Fleming. How much is a premiere booth next to Image Comics? Well, there you are. One of the things I would like to do, though, is I think that in closing, comics in general, independent comics especially, I personally think that in the next 5 to 10 years, I'll say 10 years, that there will be independent conventions only. They will not be mainstay. It will be an independently run, independently and not funded, but it'll be an independent group, coalition of independent creators that are running these indie convention cons. I think that is going to be the future of it. I think that we're going to be looking at a whole nother level of collaboration between indie people and pop culture. I think in general is going to be changing dramatically with these conventions. I think that you're going to be seeing a lot of mom and pop shops coming back to the forefront. And I think that there's going to be a lot of actors and a lot of people in the industry that are going to be, there's going to be movies. I'm telling you now, I'm living proof of it. There's movies and productions being made from indie comics that are going to be, in the next 10 years, it's going to be so mainstream. I will bet dollars to donuts that mainstream marketing companies like, the big three, you want to call them that, are going to be kind of secondary. They're still going to be there, but I think the indie people are going to be coming to shows because of the indie comic scene. They're going to be there maybe to pitch their indie comic with the right genre, with the right format, in the right element. Like they used to do with Marvel when you used to bring your portfolio to certain certain tables that people would look through them all and then tell you what they think about you. Maybe that might be the take in indie comics in the future, but I really think that you're going to see a shift in the next 5 to 10 years of indie comics. If you want to call it taking over, I think it's going to be more the umbrella standard in conventions. I really think that. I think that you're going to be seeing a lot of the other, especially with the distribution. I'm not saying you're always going to have Batman. You always have Superman, DC, Marvel. You're always going to have that Dark Horse, Hellboy, But I really think that the indie scene, if you want to call it that, will be the mainstay for conventions. I really, really believe that. And I think that you guys are in the right genre at the right time to get your stories out there and to really the longevity of it all. I don't think this is a flash in the pan. I think that this is an industry they're going to be talking about us later in a good way. Everybody that's on this wave. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you guys are grand. I hope so. But let's see what Eric says. There's a new Netflix zombie series produced and filmed in Korea based on a way. Yeah. What is the name of that one? Shoot. Yeah, that's one thing. Hey, I don't know if Damien's still on the call. The link to the Lexington convention, I don't have it with me here. I'm sorry, guys. I should have put it on there. I really, really think that indie comics, I don't think they're even going to call it indie anymore. I think, and eventually what's going to happen is it's just going to be standard. It's going to be a standard. This is coming from Ted Davies Artistry Media or whatever. It's not going to be indie comics, and it's going to be mainstream. It's going to be comics. There you go. Thank you, Damien. So yeah, you guys check out Lexington Comic Con if you want to come see me down there, or at Midland Mall Comic Con that's coming up March 5th and 6th up here in Michigan. Whether whether you guys like driving in Michigan in the winter or not. Today, I'm really glad that we actually had time to talk because we've had really, really crappy rain and ice and everything else building up outside. So, um, Eric, everyone is dead is the name of the show, or we are all dead, something like that. Okay, something has dead in it. Okay, fair enough. All right, and Damien posted on Facebook. Thank you. Yeah, if you guys could like and share this out, thank you. That's pretty much it. I know that it was a quick overview. I know I didn't do a lot of like presentation stuff and that, but you know, use your brain when you're doing this kind of thing. Learn from other people. See that there's ways to improve it. Don't be a jerk to your neighbor, next door when you're trying to sell things. Help them out. Maybe they'll help you out. Try not to blare music and everything like some people do in our call apparently, and bark at people when they walk by. Do something creative. Make sure that you're helping everybody else out too. And I know karmatically you will end up reaping the benefit from it in a good way. I hope that gives you a breakdown of where I'm going with it. I'm excited about the convention scene, and you know what? I'm tired about all of the other stuff. I think that COVID and everything else. I'm exhausted. I know we all are. And for all of you guys that have been out conventions and done it, props, because I think you are the pioneers, and I appreciate you very, very much. You get people out of their head like me, getting out and doing things, even going to the store, things of that sort, getting through this. For me, it was not political or anything else. Just me getting vaxxed, me getting boosted helped me just get through it mentally, regardless of how you feel about it. But it's a good thing. I think we're moving forward. I think that there's a lot of good things that are going to be happening, and I'm glad that you guys are part of this. Thank you for joining me on this this demented tour of what setups are like for me for conventions. Get to the point where you guys are making money. In closing, I try to make, I try to tell people, they ask, should we double our prices on books? Should we blah, blah, blah? Find out what your margins are. I know in retail, 30% was our normal margin in retail. When I worked for the Home Depot Corporation, 30% usually. Some of the things they didn't make 30% on. They made more money on the screws and the glue and everything else than they did the drywall. So keep that in mind. You might not make as much on your book, but you might make more on your art, or you might make something on such and such. So kind of balance it all out. See where you're at. Thanks, guys. Do something good for somebody today. Try to get out, and if the weather's good, try to get out and do something good for somebody today. You guys have done something great for me. You listened to me for an hour. Thank you. Thanks for liking, sharing this. Thanks for subscribing to all this, and thanks for being part of Ted's Tribe, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. I will be on Dastardly Dingoes tonight because I was invited. So hopefully they send me a link sometime today. Damien, I'll see you on the show tonight. Hopefully see you guys all there. We're going to be talking about the future of indie comics, I think. That's what we're going to be talking about. So we'll continue on this conversation then. So thanks again, guys. We'll talk to you soon.